out there. So, what we're going to do today, and you can learn guitar land, is Mixolydian. We're just going to jam back and forth between two chords, A and G major, right? So, what we're going to do when we're in A, we'll mess around with a little A major pentatonic, have some fun there. You know, you saw me fumbling through that little thing in the beginning. What I was doing is basically when A major comes around, I'm just doing all those sort of A major pentatonic runs. And then when G major comes by, what I try to do is play out of the A Mixolydian mode, which is going to be, I'll show you the first shape, and it's going to be 5, 7, 9 on the first 3 strings. And then we're going to go 6, 7, 9, followed by 7, 8, 10, and then 7, 9, 10. Now, a lot of you are familiar with that shape, just called something else, right? The shapes are the same. It just matters in the context of what chords and scales you're playing with, right? The names of them, which makes it the modes that they are, blah, 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 blah. So, A Mixolydian, and then also when I'm in that G, I'm a lot of tunes, sorry. G major, I'm mixing my A minor and major pentatonics. Like I've done a million lessons on that. All that kind of stuff in there as well. So let's zoom in. I'll break down a couple of the riffs I was doing and then kind of make it your own world. If you got a iPhone or, you know, any sort of recording device, just record yourself jamming G or A to G, you know, just total. Back and forth. That's all you got to do. And then jam to it and see what you come up with. There you have it. Okay, so while we're in that A chord, what we can do is use a few things. We can do A major. Right? That's just basically that pentatonic position right there, right? First position. That would be A major. Now, A Mixolydian, if you guys watched the last video I did, it broke down a couple of the shapes. What I'll do is I'll break down the first shape and then you can, you know, you can figure it out from there. Would be starting on the A note. We're going to do the first 3 strings the same, whole steps. So that would be 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9. And then on the G string, you would go 6, 7, 9. Then you'd go 7, 8, 10. And on the E string, you would go 7, 9, 10. So from there, what I did was I just try to outline the chords. When I'm playing in A, like I said, you can use that. Right, typical, what I'm doing there is I'm just bending up on the 16th fret and catching that 17. And you're basically bending the G note into the A major triad, and then this note's already part of the A chord, right? So we're going. Now you can do the exact same riff when G comes by. You just go down a whole step, right? So this is A major, so if you went on a whole step, you'd be in G major, which would be. Now, if I'm in A major, right, that run works. I can start this riff, but I'm going to outline more of that Mixolydian sound and go, right, that's the G chord right here. So I'm doing all the notes from the G chord, trying to stay in that A Mixolydian scale as well. And all those notes are in there. So I'm outlining that G chord. Now, when I go to that G chord as well, you heard another riff I did, and what I did was I got it basically out of that A major shape, right, A major pentatonic, but I made it more modal sounding by skipping some of the intervals and using different intervals than I would in just a strict A major pentatonic. So what I did was I went 17 to 14, and then I went 15 to 14, and then I went straight down the A major pentatonic scale. And then busted right back into that riff right before I resolved to A. So it leads us right into A. So another one I did over the A, or the G rather, is this riff right here. Or, you know, some incarnation of that. The beginning is what's important. So what we're doing is you have a G chord right here. So again, I took notes from that scale, the A Mixolydian scale, and I combined it outlining the G, right? So I'm going to hit each one of these notes. So it sounds like it's referenced to the G chord because you're playing notes right out of that chord. So, but while you're in the A Mixolydian scale. So what I did was I went 9, 7, 8, 7. And then I went 9, 7, and slide. And then I went back into basically what would be, you would know as the A minor pentatonic scale. And then right back out of it. So it's part of the Mixolydian. Right? But it's just for reference purposes. Plus I do mix A minor in there too, but you got to use it creatively. You can't do typical. It's more like using and landing on more of those Mixolydian scale tones. Right? That's basically a major pentatonic in that A minor box. Another cool note you can do is instead of going that typical bend right there out of A minor, you can stretch and pull the scale out a little bit to fit in that Mixolydian mode. And then go back into that G. Now just as we had the G chord right there, here's an A. So let's go over some of the riffs we can use out of that A chord. So if you break down these arpeggios that cover those two chords, you can do this. Start with your pinky on the 12th fret, or the A note, right? That's where our chord starts. Then we're going to go to the 11th fret of the D. G is going to be 9. B is going to be 10. 9. And then we can go 10, 12 if we want. So we got. Now if we wanted to do the same thing, we would just move it down a whole step. And it's the exact same with the exception of this 9th fret, because now we got to, bend the shape to fit the chord in the scale. So you can use those over it. You can break those up. So I'm playing out of those arpeggio shapes. Right, so right there would be 10, 7, 9 on the D, 7, 9 on the G. And then I'm going to go 7, 8 onto the B, 7, 9 on the E. Do the same style riff here up here in A. But I'm going to shift up to outline those A notes. Right? You're hitting of that chord. So we got. Right? You can do one of those. And then we can go. So if we did that. We can do the same thing, go down a whole step when we go to G. And then and then now you can also just do the kind of Satriani thing where you're just doing legato, right? That kind of a thing. Now all I'm doing there is I'm just taking the patterns of the scale and I'm just doing like hammer-on runs, like so it'd be you're hammering up and then pulling off. Alright, so it helps to have a lot of gain when you do that. You can do a little arpeggio runs, like so instead of going and directly outlining those chords, you can go 9, 8, 7, 10, and then do the same pattern up a whole step. So it'd be 11, 10, 9. So we go. And then this one would be 14, 14. So G, B, E. And when I go back into the A, right, because I'm playing right those notes right out of that A chord. And then we're going to go into that G, so that's the perfect time to bust into the... So as the chords are going by, what you want to do is just kind of highlight the chord tone. Now, you don't always have to do that. You know, you can break it up with, like what I said, with some of that Satriani style legato runs or whatever. But, you know, say you go through 10 times. 5 of the times, play to the chords, right? As the G goes by, the A goes by, outline those chords with those kind of riffs. Remember, the modal sound works really good when you don't do straight up and down scales. You take some of those intervals right, and you're not just playing straight like. See, I'm skipping some of those notes. Oops. And hitting some wrong ones too. But what I basically did is instead of playing, I took out that last note of the scale, right? I went. So I skipped this one and just went. Right? You know, and throw on some, you know, pentatonic. And there you have it, folks. Mixolydian stuff and pentatonics and everything thrown into one ball, just like I like it. All right. Catch you guys next.